Welcome to Bite Size, a series where I take a short look at a short game. I don't have much time, so let's get going. I've gone on record to say that Celeste was a pretty solid, tough-as-nails indie side-scroller that did a lot of things right, though it had its rough spots and I wouldn't dare go for the 100%. But the core gameplay that originated in the Pico 8 Celeste Classic and carried on into Celeste and was reworked in Lonnie's Trek is challenging yet enjoyable. And for Celeste's 6th anniversary, that gameplay has been translated into 3D in Celeste 64 Fragments of the Mountain. Developed in around a week, Celeste 64 is a free little indie game developed by some of the team behind the original Celeste. It goes without saying, the scope is very limited, and while my first playthrough took over 2 hours, subsequent playthroughs took me under an hour, and I'm sure a sub 30 run wouldn't take too much practice. In Celeste 64, Madeline returns to Celeste Mountain, in her mind I think, because of a major crossroads in her life, though story isn't a huge factor here. She says that this memory version of the mountain is 3D because she's been playing a lot of retro games recently. Relatable. And that's the real focus here, the 3D gameplay. The game clearly takes heavy inspiration from Super Mario 64. The game's only level is a floating island. The main objective is to find all 30 strawberries, acting as the game's collectible just like Power Stars, and the Get Strawberry jingle is very similar to the Get Star jingle.
Here we go!
And there are separate platforming segments like 64 Secret Stars. Even the game's sound font is the same or heavily based on Mario 64's. But it's likely the major challenge was translating the core Celeste gameplay into 3D. Celeste's defining move is Madeline's 8-directional dash, which would trivialize the 3D platforming and be a nightmare to control. Instead, the dash has been nerfed so that the burst launches Madeline forward and grants a little boost in height. Additionally, Madeline has a Z guide to help stick landings, although in open spaces its aid is limited. It can even be toggled off, though I don't know why you would. Wall jumping made the transition over, as did climbing, but there's no stamina now, so you can climb to your heart's content, which is probably why spikes plaster a lot of the walls. There's also a dash jump that's supposed to be faster than dash running, but I didn't notice the difference. And most importantly, there's a side somersault like Mario 64 called the skid jump. But it requires much more precise input to execute, so you need to be deliberate when you want to use it. It grants extra height on your jumps, necessary for a couple berries. Additionally, the gold feather power-up lets you fly horizontally for a short period, green dash gems replenish your dash, and pink double dash gems give you 2 dashes in midair. And the platforms that move when you touch them make an appearance, launching you to new places, and bounce platforms give you a height boost. Now I'll give you a brief tour of the level and different strawberries you'll collect. The Forsaken City's layout is roughly ring-shaped, with a tall structure in the center. The game starts you on a little platform with another nearby you can jump to with a car. It's almost tradition to die right away somehow. The game forces you to figure out how to climb walls to activate the first checkpoint flag. It then forces you to dash jump to find your first strawberry. Ascending these 2 walls leads to a moving platform that carries you to the main ring, where you'll find Granny and her house. There's no map of the Forsaken City, so I'll designate this the southern portion of the ring. Heading east, you'll get a little more climbing practice conquering this hill covered in spikes. Told you there were a lot of spikes. Taking the path around the back leads to the crest of the hill and a berry. There's another berry hidden away close by that I actually had to look up. The path from the ground through the spikes takes you there, but it's much faster to just grab it on your way down. Just north of Granny's house, you're introduced to falling platforms, here in a big bunch, teaching you to take care where you land. Hop to the top for a berry. Just west of Granny's house are 2 skyscrapers, I think. And at the bottom of one bursts through a window for the first cassette, which takes you to a secret area for a berry. I'll talk about the secret areas later. The taller tower has its share of spikes, so weave through them as you climb. Around halfway up is another cassette, and then at the top is Theo and another berry. Hopping down to the southwest corner of the map leads to another checkpoint flag. Quick tangent, I wish the checkpoints acted as fast travel points. It'd make the final cleanup swifter. I guess Mario Odyssey kind of spoiled us. Nearby is a moving platform that passes over a green dash gem challenge. You can skip part of that by jumping down and nabbing the strawberry. Here you'll find some berries will bubble you up and send you back to safety once you grab them. But since I hit the checkpoint, I just jumped off. Next, you can leap across some platforms to a sheet of spikes, suspended over some rafters and a berry. Returning to the moving platform, you get launched north to a lonely clump where you can wall jump for a berry. Another moving platform brings you east to the road area. Over here are a bunch of platforms, and if you step on all of them, a berry appears. I had to look that one up too. Another berry must be dislodged from a box. There's a cassette at one end of the road, and at the other is a berry hidden underneath the asphalt. The ramparts nearby hold a cassette, and further on, a billboard hides another. The next berry is tucked away atop some skinny rafters. This section definitely feels the most straightforward and traditional with its berry collecting challenges. Continuing east, the next section is all about golden feathers, which you can ride to a cassette tape. They can also send you to the base of the center structure where 2 berries can be nabbed in quick succession. In the northeast portion of the ring, 1 berry is sequestered beneath some glass, and you need to fall below the ledge and grab the golden feather to carefully steer to your prize. Another berry is cheekily concealed behind a floating rock. Then there's a long golden feather chain past some moving spike traps to a berry. Finally, jumping across the arches leads to a cassette. Head south along the crumbling land bridge to the southeast corner of the ring. It introduces the pink double dash gems, but first there's a cassette obscured by this wall, which falls if you grab onto it. Yeah, that's pretty obscure, and I only know about it because I looked it up. Next, you need to grab and hold onto a double dash gem to climb up these cement pillars, and a platform out to a distant berry. Finally, you need to again grab a double dash gem, but then work your way around almost the entire ring, without dashing mind you, to a tile east of Granny's place for a berry. That just leaves the center structure, and wherever it leads. You'll need to grab the highest golden feather you can to slip above the spike ring on the center structure. Around back is a cassette. Working your way to the top, you find a golden feather which you can ride out to a little island where you find Madeline, and a signpost for the credits. Underneath the island is the final cassette tape. Speaking of cassette tapes, let's get into the secret areas. There are 10 and each focuses on a specific idea, like using green dash gems to cross big gaps, or pink double dash gems to progress over falling spike walls. In one, you propel off moving platforms through spiky rings. Some have you touching all the blue O's to continue, either by climbing, jumping, or flying. There's even a beat block one. But I found 3 were notably difficult. The first one, with moving platforms and spikes, gave me a lot of trouble. The one where you have to master skid jumps to get enough height was perplexing for a while. And the final one, which is an extended climbing challenge, took quite a few attempts. Actually, this highlights an annoyance I had with the camera. Respawn points, like checkpoints in the beginning of secret areas, should have a default camera position. As it is, when you respawn, the camera maintains the position and directionality it had when you died, often meaning it needs to be readjusted before you can get back into the action. If the respawn points had default camera positions, you could get right back to the platforming the second you respawn. And since we're talking about the camera, having a single button center the camera behind Madeline like 3D Zelda or Mario Sunshine would be appreciated. The linear platforming of these secret areas is refreshing, but be warned as these will probably be the most challenging sections of the game. Celeste 64 Fragments of the Mountain is a cool little game the team threw together to celebrate Celeste's 6th anniversary. Its length and limited scope feels almost like a demo, or a short little playground ROM hack. But if they wanted to expand this into a full game, I'd be all for it. I just think the difficulty would have to be carefully scaled. If the Forsaken City became the first level and everything afterwards got harder, the game could become miserable very fast, so proper balancing would be critical. But one major benefit of more levels would be the diversity of settings, like in Celeste, and would probably help create ideas for level design. All I'm trying to say is I liked it and I want to play more. And you can try it right now, the link's in the description. Let me know if you like it or recommend another bite-sized game. Thanks again for checking this out, and I hope to catch you in the next one.